What is going on YouTube, and welcome back to another edition of Film Fridays. Today's video is going to be centered around me trying to edit a photo in Lightroom to make it look more cinematic. So for the photos that you're seeing on the screen right now, I took quite a few good ones here. Some with the Moment Cine Bloom filter attached to the G2 28-75 Tamron lens. A lot of good photos that we took this day. We're working with Hetzel again. If you haven't seen her on my channel already, she was in my previous photography challenge video. So if you are interested in seeing her photography skills, go ahead and click that card up at the top when you're finished watching the video. All of her information will be linked in the description below as well. So cinematic like shots are the theme of the video. So I've always pictured different things, folks kind of just peeking out of like windows, or just a lot of movement, capturing just free movement like you saw the photos that were posted on the screen. I enjoy photos like this, so it is going to be like one of my top priorities to try to replicate things like this year in 2022. When I came back from my end of year winter hiatus to start back photography again, I saw there were a bunch of different presets from an update in Lightroom. So if we see on the left hand side of the screen, you have these portraits, retro, black and white, and a couple things stood out to me. It was this cinematic style 1 and 2. And I'm like, when in the hell am I ever going to use like Lightroom presets for, and then that aren't my own, you know? So when am I ever going to use these Lightroom presets that aren't my own that I created? But after going through and kind of like taking a look at a couple of these, they're pretty sweet. And in particular, the one that I used to edit this photo was under the Style Cinematic 2 section. It was the Cin 13. And this is what it looks like. So if we're going to go ahead and start, I'm going to click and apply this to my photo here. So this look right here, it really looks, what's the word, vintage, I guess is what I'm going for. Just like that old vintage look. In my opinion, it reminds me a lot of the Fujifilm Eterna simulation. So, and again, not in the sense of it looks exactly the same, but it gives you like a nice base where it looks like it was like a still straight out of a movie that you can just go in and just spice up the photo. And that's exactly what we're about to do. All right, so we have our preset applied, our Cin 13 under our Cinematic 2 style in Lightroom. We went and took this shot inside of a parking garage. Again, this was shot with the A7 III and the Tamron 28-75 G2 model. I did not actually have the Moment Cine Bloom 10% filter on for this one, so I was really surprised that it came out and kind of looked like this straight out of camera. So from this point now, we're going to go ahead and decrease some of the highlights, right, and bump up the shadows to kind of really give that film like cinematic look that we're going for. So all that takes, you just play around some. We'll start with the highlights. You get it down to a happy medium, somewhere that you're happy with. We can stay at 33 for right now. And then let's go up for shadows. I am okay at 40. I think 40 looks okay. And then just for my own sanity, what I do is go ahead and increase some of the exposure as well, because this photo looks a little bit too dark. I know I like my dark, moody photos, but this was a little bit too dark. And then as we increase the exposure on some of these, now you can go back and start re-correcting some of your shadows and highlights to make sure everything looks okay. And I am okay with these current settings right here. Yep, I am okay with where we are at right now. I'm gonna scroll down some. So right here, I actually have everything enabled under the HSL color wheel. You guys can see the different settings for hue, saturation, and luminance. All of these were preloaded from the Cin 13 presets. So if you go down, they actually had things with your midtones as well, your shadows and highlights. And in all honesty, I'm digging this look. I really am. So I'm not going to touch much of this at all. I know for some of the other photos that I used this preset on, I went ahead and maybe adjusted the highlights some more. But for this one in particular, I really like this. It's the peering out from a parking garage window with some of the background, and I think this looks really good. So what I'm going to do now, we're going to add some more touches to the photo to give it more of that decal photography style. I love what she did with her makeup, as you can see in the video clips I'm showing on the screen. And I really want to bring this to life more. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go up to my masking, my radial gradient. So all I'm going to do is create a mask over her makeup. Just gotta get it on there. There we go. That should be good enough. We can adjust as we go along. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring up the saturation some, so that it brings out more of that color. Because why work so hard on lovely makeup if you're really not going to highlight it at all? So I'm going to go in and I'm going to adjust the other eye too, speed that up so you guys don't have to watch that. So just give me 1 second. Alright, so we have both eyes for in terms of the makeup completed. And now what I want to do, I'm going to create a new mask so I can have these things be mutually exclusive to one another. And I'm just going to go in and kind of make her eyes pop a little bit more just to add some more color dynamic to these photos. We're going to bump up the saturation some. We even bring up the texture in the iris here. I don't want alien eyes. That's not the look I'm going for, but I do want to kind of bring out the color in her eyes a little bit more. So just duplicate that. Go ahead and just take a look. We zoom out. I am going to decrease the saturation one more time, just a little bit, so I'm not getting that alien effect. I'm also going to bring down some of the texture as well so it doesn't look too outlandish. Then that should have the same effect on that one. Yep. Click off, and I am okay with this. Okay, I'm okay with that. Sweet. So our next and one of the final steps that we're going to do to finish off this photo, we're going to add a little bit of film grain to this to make it look a little bit more authentic. So we're going to scroll down here to the bottom under grain. It's under the effects panel, the effects where post and crop vignetting, and then we're going to go to grain. So under here you can control the amount of grain you want to add, also the size of the grain, the roughness. I'm going to leave the roughness around 50, and we're just going to take a look as we increase the amount to see if we need to increase the size as well. So let me just go up some more for amount. Let's go to 50, see what it look like for 50. It might be a little bit too much. Let's go back down to 40. I think 40, somewhere in the 40s will be a good range. Okay. Yeah, I like 40, and then we'll just bump up the size of the grain maybe by 5. We'll head up to 30. Nothing too crazy, like we go up to 60. Yeah, that's way too much. So we'll just go to, let's say 35, because we don't want the grain to be like over the top. We kind of want it to be subtle, so that you can see it, but it's not like taking away from the overall portion or the overall just aspect of the photo. So I'm okay with this. This is good. I like the makeup that pops a little bit more now. I also like the grain that was added to the photo. I can live with this. This is pretty dope. It looks like I took a screenshot of a pause the movie, and this is what I came out with. So let me go ahead and show a before and after on the screen here. You guys let me know in the comments what you think. So we have our before on the left hand side, and then we have our current edited version on the right hand side. So again, you guys let me know in the comments what you think of these two photos, which one you actually prefer better, the one that's just straight out of camera or the cinematic edit that I did. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this episode of Film Fridays. I'm really loving this series and also the bi-weekly uploads because it gives me enough time to think of really cool concepts and ideas that I can do to display on the screen. On this channel this year, I'm really getting more into the teaching aspect, more of the showing, more than what I can do in BTS videos, and actually applying some stuff to real world aspects of photography. So again, if you like the video, go ahead and leave a thumbs up, and don't forget to click that subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode of Film Fridays. Thank you again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.